The
You
recording
betray
isn't.
me.
Put
There's
up a
there's
pillow.
Brian, say a few words. I wonder if you could turn your mic up a touch.
Did not hit her.
Oh, actually,
This
now
is
you're fine. Okay.
it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it might
Yeah.
have needed a second to adjust.
Mm-mm-mm. That might be the thing. So the shtick is Mark. You're gonna do it this
um,
time then?
Unit number, what's the number?
Well, it's a 58.
58. Okay, unit number 58. Um, okay. I'll fucking think of something when I say it.
Okay, when he says it.
Unit number 58. All of you betray me.
Oh, hi,
I'm fed
Mark.
up with
It's
this
Matt.
world.
You're fed up with this world. Let's
Oh,
talk
hi,
about something
Mark.
else.
I'm Luke.
Oh, hi, Luke.
And we have a guest who's there. He's on
The
mute.
guess who you didn't tell the bit to,
Oh
by the
yeah,
way.
because
Also,
that's
Matt
Forgot to
did
tell
Matt
him.
talked all over Mark and ruined the bit.
yeah. I
That
ruined the
was
bit. You want to do the
that was
bit
a
one more time?
shambles.
Yes. No, no, no. This is perfect. Welcome to Films and Filth.
That's right.
This is the room. It's a very special episode. Brian Lonano, special guest here. I'll introduce you.
Oh, hello.
Hello. We're talking about The Room, the 2003 movie that no one should have heard of.
Yeah. I guess yeah, for me, I'm definitely like Luke, this is all new to you,
I
100%.
was I was aware of the room because it's in the memosphere, right? But
Yeah. Had you
I'd
obsessively
I'd
watched the
seen
clips?
no, I'd
No.
seen a couple of the famous clips a couple of
Yeah.
times, and then I watched the film 2 nights ago.
Okay, I'm
That's
pretty
it. That's my knowledge of the room. So
that
I'm
I
here as a blank slate for you to impart your wisdom upon.
as far as like experiential room stuff, I'm with you. Of course I Mark has talked to me about the room a lot, so I've heard more about the room.
Hmm.
But it was the first
Brian,
time I
what's
sat
your
down and watched the
experience?
movie.
I'll go last.
So I was telling my brother that I was going to be on this show talking about The Room, and we both definitely remember that our first time watching it was we rented the disc from Netflix. And he says it was like 2010. So that's really late for me to discover The Room, but it's possible that I saw The Room after I saw Birdemic, which is a much different bad movie. But I also know that Adult Swim had done April Fool's pranks where they broadcast The Room. I think they did it like 2 years in a row, and during
Oh,
those
yeah,
love scenes.
2010 would have been the prime, like them broadcasting The Room for April Fool's
Yeah,
time.
but
I
I
think it was
believe it was
2009 through 2011.
yeah, I believe I saw it on Netflix on disc back when they used to do that.
I
Well,
never Netflixed a disc.
really, I did that a lot because you
Well,
can
I think
copy
I
them and
just said
send them back
if you remember, I said
illegibly.
several weeks ago, as far as me actually renting a movie, it went from 2004 renting Down with Love to 3 week or 2 months ago renting Police Academy 7.
Can I? So, what do you guys think if I rent something and copy it and send it back? Is that physical media?
I don't think I ever did that. I never did that,
An
interestingly enough.
ethical quandary.
You can call it laziness if you
um.
want, but yeah.
Anyway, so my journey with this film is my friends Johnny and Gail Ray. Shout outs to them, whether you're listening or not. Love you guys. They used to own the Plaza Theater in Atlanta. And I saw the poster for this, and I was like, "What? That looks. What is this guy's face? This is a creepy dude." It was like I this, and then I was watching a movie with Johnny there actually, and the trailer played for it. I was like, "That looks like what?" Because they would usually book really cool stuff, and I was like, "What is this? This looks really bad." And he was like, "Well, it's supposed to be like this legendary bad movie." So myself and I don't remember exactly who was there, but I know Nick Morgan was there. Shout out to Nick Morgan. Just gonna shout out everyone who I mentioned in this story. I think my friend Jeff was there also. Um, but we experienced it in a theater with maybe 30 people, not knowing what it was gonna be like, which I think is kind of the best way. And you can't really experience it like that anymore unless you live in kind of a vacuum because everyone knows the deal. But that was the most fun I possibly could have had with it because it was, and then I went to a couple of different Q&As. I asked him what I thought was a good question, like, what would you do for a prequel for The Room? And he was like, what prequel? It's two people in a room. That's the story. He was like, got mad.
More than
He got
two
mad at
people.
most people. It was, well, his grasp of logic is a little bit tenuous, but you know, I think it's fun. I think it was more fun before people were yelling over it. um,
They still play it. They're playing it in next month, in June
yeah, on
on 35,
35,
and they
which
do
is
it
how
almost.
I saw it.
Yeah, and Greg
Um,
Sestero will be there, but he shows up like every year to do the room.
he shows up there a lot. I mean, I've personally seen him. I think I might have seen him at more screenings than Tommy Wiseau, even though I think Tommy Wiseau might have less to do, but I don't know. Um, but yeah, it's I saw it a bunch of times. One of the most interesting things is um, Johnny told me that Crispin Glover used to tour with his own like weird stuff,
What
and
is it?
I don't
That's what it's
remember.
called. Oh, it's called What Is It?
Okay. Oh, it's called What Is It? Okay. Who's on first? No, but Johnny told me that Crispin Glover, the only thing Crispin Glover said to him was he was asking a bunch of questions about Tommy Wiseau. He was like, "What's this guy's deal?" But yeah, I think it's funny, and it's an interesting reflection on auteurism gone wrong.
I came into it obviously knowing the reputation that it was bad, that it would have some wonky acting and writing, but it kept surprising me with new ways it was bad at being a film.
And
Yeah,
you,
So that was fun.
it's the story of this is like told far and wide, and there's a film about the making of it, and
Yeah, I
based on a
deliberately
book
didn't
about the
watch
making
that
of it.
yet, but I probably will.
okay, I didn't see that movie, but I did have a very sideways thing because I was listening to a different podcast where they had Greg Sestero on it, and he basically went through the whole story and then proceeded to talk about theme parks because that was the podcast.
Well, we know which podcast you're talking about.
Right, right. So, but yeah, I get, they spent like half of it talking, basically going through the beats of, the disaster artist and, like how the room became popular.
Mm.
I
There's so
rewatched.
much. Go ahead.
Sorry, I
You
this
go.
was my rewatch of it over the weekend was my second time seeing The Room, and then I rewatched The Disaster Artist, which was my second time seeing The Disaster Artist. So The Room is not one I go back to a lot, but
Hasn't James
I
Franco
don't.
become a bizarro auteur, like making an insane number of movies that nobody watches?
Well, he's become a sex pest, or at least been outed as a sex pest.
Yes, he's become a sex pest, and also he was a sex pest before.
Yeah,
Right.
but now we know he's a
Wait,
sex pest.
I did that wrong.
Sorry,
Um,
Brian, I think I midpointed you there.
While he was sex pesting, yes, he did make a bunch of obscure movies when he wasn't sex pesting.
I mean, I think
Um,
he was sex pesting while he was making the movies, to be fair.
what I mean is he'd take a break from sex pesting to make a film and then go
He
back
wasn't
to
sex
sex.
pesting on camera, yeah.
Oh, okay.
As I understand it, he wasn't.
One
Maybe he
for sex
was. I mean,
pesting.
the main James Franco story I have, I've probably related this on this podcast, which is that during the Atlanta Film Festival, there was this thing where he introduced and did a panel of this anthology film of small short films made by all of his film students, and they were all awful, and it was excruciating to watch. And he seemed high, but I guess somebody said he was just tired. But I was like, man, that was a rough watch. I
that
mean,
sounds like what you would
there.
say if the famous man was high and shouldn't be.
I mean, they were all like they looked good, but they were just really like boring. But I
I
don't
mean,
know. I'm sure they all have
that's
talent now or
student
something.
films, right? Like,
Maybe. I don't know. I saw Spike Lee's student film and it was awesome.
I've seen
It was like,
what's his name? Edgar Wright student films. They're pretty fun.
oh yeah, I bet. I mean, did David Lynch do student films or do you just call those
That's
practice?
He,
The Six Figures Getting Sick and The Grandmother and The Alphabet, those are all student films.
Those are at AFI, right?
All
Uh,
really good.
two of them were at the AFI. I think Six Figures Getting Sick was done when he was in Philadelphia.
Hmm.
Very good. Watch them all. Instead of watching James Franco's students' films, if you were going to do that, which I'm sure you weren't. But yeah, the Disaster Artist, I have sort of the same problem that I usually do with biopics, which is that it's like way too nice to Tommy Wiseau, which like if you read even a little bit about the film, it's like he's basically a dick to everyone all the time. And a lot of people quit the film over and over, and he fired people, and there was no air conditioning, and like you can go on forever, even taking aside that the movie's obviously like misogynist, even by like 1950s standards.
Yeah.
um, so it's like it's almost only tolerable because you can laugh at him the entire time.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like if this film was better, the whole thing would be worse because like he only gets away with being such a piece of shit because his film's so bad.
Yeah, basically. And the the auteur thing I mentioned earlier, it's like well, Brian, you would know more about this than any of us, but it's like films are made by committee, right? Like there's no real unless you are literally Phil Tippett making whatever Mad God in your workshop for 30 years.
I
It's
mean,
like
yeah, to a degree, there is committee, but there are certain filmmakers I feel that can get a certain amount of like they get left alone when they make their movie. Usually that
yeah.
happens when it's
Well,
focusing on another movie, and then this movie gets to be made on the side, and nobody's really paying attention to it.
well, I guess
Um,
I'm not trying to include the studio people as much as like everyone who makes a film is all working on it, where it's like you can't take complete and total control over every person who's doing their job. And in this case, it's like he was so incompetent that a lot of people just made the film good because they thought it was funny. Like
They made
apparently
it
well, there's a
exist.
lot of there's a lot of speculation that like the cinematographer made the movie basically. And I know there were definitely rewrites. Like the original version of this, apparently all the characters kind of talked like horny babies and
They
said
don't
cheap,
miss.
cheap, cheap all the time. It was apparently like much worse. I
It
don't, I
might have
don't
been
know if
much
a
better.
version of that I don't know if a version of that survived. No, they were
you
just like there's already some improvisation from actors on this.
Mm.
this kind of movie compared to like Birdemic or later Neil Breen, like this had a cinematographer. I feel like Double Down, which is Neil Breen's first movie, was also shot on film. That had a cinematographer, I think. So it's like there is like you have to light film in order for it to look good. So like yeah, there was
Hmm.
people on that making this look as good as it can, and really like Tommy Wiseau is just the complete weirdo. It's like a well lit as well as it can be, but then this weirdo like walks into the shot and says his lines all strangely, and they do all that ADR work. But if you don't have like a cinematographer, you get something like Birdemic, where you're just setting up a video camera, not lighting anything, and having plugins of birds, and superimpose onto your shot. And that's sort of like how Neil Breen's
Fault
stuff is
bird.
too, because he shoots everything and it's all digital and it's all green screen and stock footage and stuff like that. So if Tommy Wiseau was, still making films but he didn't have a crew, and why would he after like the book coming out about his reputation? His stuff would probably look completely shitty, but he had a
Well, it's
crew
like
this time.
This movie's a
I don't
six
know how
million
you
dollar
even.
budget. The roof had
Yeah,
like you could tell the roof has that giant green screen. They didn't shoot on a roof, which seems like that wouldn't be
they
too
did
hard.
though. They built a roof scene outside. They built that set outside. They had a roof to shoot on, and they built a. I don't remember why exactly, but they built that
Was it
Gotta
just
use
because
outside.
your
the weather
budget
was inconsistent, maybe?
I, d- I
in
don't
Los
think there was a
Angeles.
good reason. The before we go too far, Brian, did you know about how he filmed this on film and video at the same time with two cameras that were like ratcheted together
Yeah, and I'm curious
for
to
some
see
Genius.
what
reason?
I'm curious to see what the HD
Yeah,
version
he's
would
a
look
visionary.
like. Yeah,
I think it was unusable because you have to light differently for the two times.
yeah,
Like, how fortunate is that if they lit it for the video instead of the film? It would have been a
Then it would look like
complete
Inland Empire, which
nightmare.
I don't know if that how that would go. Um,
yeah.
But
watching
doesn't
this one,
Inland Empire have effects?
yeah, but
Uh,
it's on that
yeah,
like early digital, so it kind of looks garbagey.
yeah. Mini
Yeah.
DV 8150 type stuff. Yep.
Now Luke, you might have missed this because you're watching on YouTube where I took out sex scenes, but for me the
No, no,
funniest
I
part
watched the
yesterday.
archive.org version.
Oh, okay.
Oh
So
Ah,
no,
good. You
Mercy
don't want to
was
miss
like,
that.
no, we can't watch the version about the sex scenes. That's half the film.
Okay, because last night or night before watching, I was just thinking about the ADR, and I was thinking about those actors just sitting in a booth
Oh,
going, oh,
And
oh,
smooth.
oh.
because it was the
Okay,
worst
so
voting ever.
before I hopped onto this one, I was listening to your episode about Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Mark makes a reference to UHF because I'm about to make a UHF reference. Tommy Wiseau's nude body reminds me of Weird Al dressed as Rambo with the fake muscles. Like his is so strange. I was like, is that like a bodysuit he's wearing? It's got that weird sort of like wrinkly, like it wrinkles when he like bends. I don't know. It was way too shiny. He just looked like Weird Al from the Rambo scenes in UHF to me.
hmm
I
Yeah,
It
it
mean,
really
was
works.
like he was surprisingly jacked,
Yeah.
but
He,
um, he still looked weird.
yeah, it's like the modern
yeah.
thing of like composers and comedians who suddenly get jacked. Joe Piscopo,
Mm.
jacked. Carrot Top, jacked. Denny Elfman, jacked.
I, the thing that my assumption is that the one thing you can't really negotiate with, I guess you can now because you can go to a like get these things like tucked a little bit, but you can't really. You can lose a bunch of weight and get in shape really fast, but your skin is going to adjust slowly.
Hmm.
So like maybe he knew he had a movie coming out and just like hit the gym insanely hard for like a couple of years.
He played
Well,
a
I'm
lot of
almost
catch.
certain that's what happened, right? Like that's what people
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that happens. When I lost something like 30 or 40 pounds in my 30s, it was like, yeah, I was kind of flappy for a minute. Or
He was
Speaking of
fat.
Flappy, Mark, you want to give us that story of the room before we get in too deep?
oh yeah. Johnny is successful San Francisco man who have it all. He best customer at flower shop and soon will get promotion. He makes sweet love to fiance Lisa on bed of roses after making Denny leave bed. Then Lisa says she's fed up with Johnny and seduce best friend Mark. How could she do this to him? Johnny not get promotion because they betray him. Then Lisa get drunk so she can tell people he hitting her, although he did not. Meanwhile, in San Francisco, Lisa's mother shows up and will not leave, and she hate everyone except Johnny. Denny not have money to pay back Chris R for drugs, and he almost killed Denny, but Johnny and Mark save him. Lisa and Mark get more and more hostile to Johnny, they tearing him apart, and soon they having even more sex. Soon all his friends throw a surprise party for Johnny in San Francisco, but Lisa use occasion to lie about being pregnant and make out with Mark on couch and lie about pregnancy, and then Mark fight Johnny and he find tape of evidence of cheating, and Lisa leave forever because she not love him, and then since everyone betrayed Johnny, he fed up with this world and end it all. Mark tell Lisa he not love her because clearly is all her fault.
Yep, can't trust
I was
anybody, can you?
I was gonna do that as Mr. Freeze, but I thought it'd be funnier if I just said it.
Yep.
Yeah, because you can't you
Um,
can't do that New Orleans accent that Tommy has.
What accent is that? Like
He's
I know
actually
he's
our second
Polish.
Polish director in this podcast. So Smolensk and The Room together, like our Polish series.
Okay, the room's
How about
much
that?
better in Smolensk.
I would
It's
give it
right.
that.
It's true, actually. It's objectively better.
You can rewatch this.
Hope
I,
you don't care
I,
about it
I,
enough to host it.
I couldn't like watch Smolensk. I had to have it on like my phone while I had something else on the TV and something else on my Switch and something else on my laptop. The Room I sat down and watched with dinner. The film experience.
Yeah, I
Dinner and
can't watch
awkward
this
sex
a
scenes.
lot, but I can watch it. You know what I mean? Like it's one of
Hmm.
those like every most bad movies like this, it drags towards the end because when like every time I watch it, I'm kind of like I feel like the entire plot has happened and 30 minutes have gone by. And also there have been 5 sex scenes already. And then you remember that the last 30 minutes is mostly establishing shots of San Francisco.
My favorite moment was when he said, like, we hardly have sex anymore. And I was thinking, like, you've had sex with her 3 times this film.
Well, but two of those sex scenes were from the same shoot. Like
Oh, you could tell that
the original,
he's doing the same
yeah,
rose petal thing. I turned to
yeah.
myself, does he just do that every night? No wonder she
I
thinks he's
think
boring. If that's his idea of spicing up the bedroom, as he pulls apart a rose every night.
He wants to do it on stairs.
and he grinds on her belly button
Yeah, and those are some
or
death stares,
something.
by the way.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen pornography that shows you how to do it on stairs, but this movie did not,
I
do
wouldn't try it on those stairs.
that. Because they're like kind of a spiral.
They're a spiral and they don't have a back, so they're just asking for trouble.
I mean, that's where you fuck the bad boy on the death stairs.
I also like that throughout the first, like 90% of that sex scene, you're like, can't quite tell if they are stairs. I'm like, is that maybe it's a bed. Are they in a crib? I had a few different thoughts go through my mind. That would have been
That
a
was
take. They go fucking a
that
crib.
was that was Lisa and Mark on the stairs, right? Because Tommy or
Yeah.
Johnny and Lisa were in the
No,
bed.
Johnny has sex on the bed because he's
The
good and
star.
pure.
And what they're
He's the
doing,
best man in the world.
the staircase because it's twisted.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's evil.
me and Mercy have
Oh, that's
recently been
genius.
watching the Mission Impossible films, and like
Yeah.
Mercy like could tell when they started being produced by Tom Cruise because suddenly every other character's line was just about how cool Ethan Hunt is. And that's the whole first half of this film, is every other character just says how great Johnny is.
Oh yeah, it's very much Poochie situation. When Poochie's not on the screen, everyone is like, "Oh, where's Poochie?"
Yeah, it's the auteur thing. He's taken so much control of this that he has lost control of it. And I think that's what's very special about this. I kind of wonder if Megalopolis is like this. Brian, you've seen that, right?
I
Is this
saw
like
it
Megalopolis?
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I saw a work print of that like a year before it came out. So what I saw was a lot of unfinished VFX, but basically there was all the things that people a year later were like, "What?" Were in the movie. And we were able to like do little comment cards and stuff, and I tried to give constructive criticism, but I'm pretty sure they're like, "Yeah, no, we're moving forward, full steam ahead on this, and these ends don't matter." But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing it again just to see if anything did change. But yeah, it's that problem where somebody is a bit unchecked, and there's no committee to help steer the ship into a better direction, and then you get something like Megalopolis or Phantom Menace or The Room,
Yeah.
all bad
That's
for
like
different reasons.
I wish I could put Phantom Menace into this category, but I feel like it's kind of like not bad enough, and maybe it should be worse.
Yeah,
I don't
like,
know how that would be
I mean,
achieved. Jar Jar
I
would-
can't talk to you guys about Phantom Menace because I'm 10, 15 years younger, so I just have a completely different perspective on it. I still like I like those 3 prequel movies are in such a tier above like Rise of Skywalker
Oh,
because
I agree.
they feel like they were made by a human.
Yeah, Brian is on board with you for the most
Yeah,
part.
I like the Phantom Menace. It's not perfect. I think it would have done better if there was just a few more drafts, because I think like there's stuff there that's like, yeah, this could be a great movie, but just a few more drafts, I think, and somebody challenging him a little bit.
I
It's
just
that whole
think
challenge.
starting with Anakin as a child was just a mistake
Yeah.
from the start. But
That's the main issue Well, I'm like the only person who thinks that Attack of the Clones was the best one.
yeah, definitely
because-
that's insane.
I'm the only person because I just feel like they weren't in a hurry to do anything. So
That's true
And,
in a
like,
way, yeah.
I've still only
Phantom
seen that
Menace
movie
was
once.
the Phantom Menace was like, this is the first Star Wars movie in 30 years, so it has to be so good that it had way too much writing on it. And then
Hmm.
Revenge of the Sith had to wrap up way too much, but Attack of the Clones could just kind of be like.
But then it did
I wish they just done.
nothing. They should
No,
have
it did
just
nothing. That's fine. I don't care. I
what we
don't need
got
it
from the
to-
Clone Wars cartoon, I think, is what I really wanted from the prequel. It's just Anakin and Obi-Wan
Yeah,
being
Mm.
buddies and fighting in the war.
I like that.
it should have just been that. It's Star Wars. Like, just
Yeah.
do that. You don't.
Anyway.
It didn't have to rhyme with the like ring theory, if that's even real. Like, you don't have to rhyme your like make a different trilogy. Somebody at Lucasfilm, maybe. Why don't you make a trilogy that's different than the other trilogies? Maybe.
It's funny bringing up the ring theory thing because it sounds like an after the fact, like, oh yeah, that was my intention.
Oh yeah,
Just
of course it
Tommy
is.
Wiseau- just like Tommy Wiseau is like, oh yeah, glad you liked my dark
It's a-
comedy.
Yeah, dark comedy is a tag on IMDb for this, and I'm going to downvote that because that's horseshit. This is not a dark comedy at all.
Not at
Not
all.
even.
Exactly.
No.
One more thing on Star Wars before we move on. It's May 8th, of course. There's the May 4th, and I didn't watch it
May
for
8th,
Star
May
Wars
8th.
Day, but I did actually watch the holiday special again on Star Wars Day, and I didn't realize that till after the fact.
I was wearing a Yoda t-shirt, but that was deliberate.
Okay.
I've been watching Andor, which keeps getting fucking better and more awesome, and
I know I
none of
should
you-
watch Andor, but it's like I don't care how good it is. I just don't think I want Star Wars to be that.
it's I guess I just do want Star Wars to be that. I'm kind of like Star Wars can change entirely as long as it changes into something I like. Which is maybe selfish, but I'm like, well, that's exactly like there was a straight up revenge murder at the end of one of the episodes by one of the good guys. And I was like, hell yeah. Fuck that dead guy. Like yeah, well,
Hey,
I'm
you
a
When we
know-
run
flawed
out of shit
person.
to
I
watch, I'm
want some
sure we will
flawed
watch it
media.
eventually. But
you know
Yeah,
what
I
moment?
think you guys will like it, but it's just it's a little bit of a commitment, I guess, to the tone.
You know what moment of this movie, The Room, made me the most sad?
what's that?
What was that?
When Mark shaved his beard.
He did look way better with the beard.
He had such an
He,
awesome
like,
beard. That was
hated
like the
that.
best special effect of the movie.
He was mad, and the actor was mad about
About shaving it.
that he made him shave the beard, and yeah,
He can grow
You
Yeah,
think
a
he
it
made
sounded
him
like
shave it because he was
they had
more
a-
handsome than him?
it sounded like they have a very antagonistic relationship. Like, actually, this is something I just learned from reading up on trivia is that Tommy Wiseau banned all foreign language from the film. That's why you don't hear the word fiance like at all. And
Oh yeah, they keep saying my future wife.
future wife, no foreign language. So at some point when they're playing football or something, Mark yells something in French, and then Tommy Wiseau like aggressively tackled him, and it's in the film. But he was like actually angry.
Excellent
So
stuff.
yeah.
Not that I would expect one, but was there a reason why they banned? He
Is it
banned
because he
language?
was
No,
like
because he wanted to be
them to
American.
not think he was foreign? Yeah.
Yeah, it's his madness. That's like the best way I could put it. There was a lot made of how this was inspired by Tommy Wiseau seeing The Talented Mr. Ripley. Have any of you seen that?
I saw it on opening night, and that was 25 plus years ago. So,
I have not seen it.
okay, I did see it.
Just
I
wanted
just
to
I
bring it
don't.
up in
I mean,
case.
it looks like a fashion ad. I remember that. That's about it.
Just like The Room.
I
Yes.
know of it vaguely, but no, I've not seen it and probably will not see it.
Well, yeah, but that movie is a fashion ad. That's like your nice upscale mall where the room is like next to the Dollar General fashions.
I'm sure this has nothing to do with that. But yeah, so when I went through the name Chris R in my summary, how many of you knew the drug dealer was named Chris R?
I did not.
No, definitely not.
It's Chris-R is his name.
Okay.
He's credited as Chris R. That was like the roommate of the guy who played Mike, who is the guy who had the strawberries,
Yeah.
he ate the strawberries off his girlfriend's chest or
Like,
whatever.
I
He
love
was apparently method acting.
when the mum walks in and was like, what are those characters doing here? And me and Mercy were like, yeah, what are these characters doing?
They came out of nowhere. No, I had to pause the movie there. I was
More
like,
sex.
did Does this just shot at a very different time and like because they look so similar to the other people too, right? So I like was like, wait a minute, and they hadn't been in the movie before that, so I got
And then Tommy Wiseau cannot enunciate well enough to have a character called Mike and a character called Mark in his film.
what else?
Well,
I do like that
so
mom only
they
visits for 2 minutes at a time. Whenever she comes, she sits down, she angrily says something, then she leaves again. Like, but not leaving angry, like she was just planning on staying that long in the first place.
Hmm.
so the guy, but that scene, you remember how there was a scene where they were tossing a football around an alley? Um, that scene, there was the alley set was built for that drug dealer scene, but they shot it and for some reason they couldn't use it. But they took the set down and then so they had to do it on the roof scene, but then they built the alley set again for some reason. But so apparently not only was the guy who played Chris R method acting, but at the point that they actually did that second time shooting the scene, he was incredibly pissed at Tommy Wiseau. So like his anger was real and everyone else's fear was also real.
Okay, my note there was faster and more intense. This thug guy is good at faster and with more intensity. So
I,
Yeah.
th- I think like I haven't got 5 minutes and pulling a gun is one of the funniest goddamn things I've ever seen in my life.
well, that's the Michael Scott
Like
improv
it's
thing on The Office, right?
it's so funny, dude. I don't know.
He wanted his
A lot
damn
is
money.
made of the a lot is made of the flower shop scene being the funniest thing in this film, but I think it's that scene because it's just complete nonsense and screaming.
The flower
Yeah, I think
shop reminded me of when I'm trying to cut down a podcast to make a TikTok, and I'm desperately trying to
Yeah.
make it like fit into 1 minute so it can be a YouTube short or whatever.
The
I
pauses
think
between lines are for suckers.
the for me the
You're my
funniest scene
best
on this
customer.
watch. For me, the funniest scene on this rewatch was the scene after Chris R. Runs away, and you've got Lisa and her mother both yelling at Denny about why
Yeah.
is he after you, and he's like, "Stop ganging up on me!" Like, I
It's
love
like, about time you were ganged up on.
Let's stop talking about it. Danny's, I
And
mean,
there's
he has what the
Well,
mentality of a 9-year-old, but he's 19. Is that
um
what's going
and
on?
Lisa's catchphrase
his
is, I don't want to talk about that
I
right
don't want to
now.
talk about it. Yeah, she says that 5 times in the film. Um, yeah. Denny's character was supposed to be mentally challenged, but I think it was something like that wasn't put into the script. And I think the guy who played him is actually older than the guy who played Mark, but he
Amazing.
just yeah. So
I,
where
I
was I
I
going?
guess the Oscar moment for Tommy here though is his drunk acting, which somehow he makes his own acting like twice as insane when he's supposed to be drunk. So I was a big fan of that. Maybe that was my favorite
The,
scene.
one of the funny things is apparently he was sick and took a bunch of like Theraflu and shit for the scene at the end when he's supposed to be like when he's yelling, "I'm fed up with this world, all you get out." Like he was
Hmm.
actually on drugs.
Oh, was he like he was trashing everything, or
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know about the very end. I'm
That's what
pretty sure the
Martin
very end
Sheen did for Apocalypse
he,
Now.
he was definitely doing like trying to do Orson Welles and Citizen Kane at the end. You can't convince me otherwise.
yeah, I agree.
I hump her panties like Orson Welles. I was like, I cannot believe that was like, I cannot believe that happened when I first saw it. That's one of the most insane fucking things. Um,
The other
let's
one I
see.
really noticed was there's the day of the party. It like shows them preparing for like, oh, the party's in a few hours. Then we get a montage of establishing shots which shows day to night to day again. Then the party
Yes,
happens.
yes,
Just
that is also one of the funniest things to me.
completely
Um,
breaks any rule of filmmaking. Yeah. He doesn't give a shit.
it was like that time Black Adam did it. They only did it once. They did a huge establishing shot of the statue of Black Adam and then cut back to the same conversation still in progress. Uh,
I guess the best acting here would be Lisa's mom, Claudette, because you could take her, pluck her out, and toss her into a David Lynch movie, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like
By
she
accident. That's a happy accident. I don't think that was a skill thing, but
I mean, so she could pretty much act. The guy playing is his name Peter?
the
The like
yes.
psychologist.
psychiatrist. Yeah.
Oh,
he was
Yeah.
like fine, and then he just sort of seemed like fatally amused at being in all this nonsense.
And
Did you guys
Lee,
pick up that his character, that lines for his character were given to that other guy at the end? Did you
Oh,
pick that
that
up?
stranger who showed up for the party.
Yeah, who seemed
Uh,
really invested and also very frustrated and angry. Yeah,
that makes
that was a
sense.
different.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love
I feel
his
like I'm sitting on an atomic bomb that's about to go off.
I love his delivery of like Johnny's very sensitive.
Yeah.
That his feelings getting hurt.
I like the idea that that guy literally was his first time meeting them. He just came to this party, and he's just suddenly gotten really invested in the gossip. That's my
Yeah.
headcanon.
I
No,
guess
like maybe he doesn't actually know these people, but he's just
Yeah,
pretending
yeah, yeah,
to.
yeah. That's what I
He
mean.
just knows who Johnny is. Yeah, hell yeah.
I guess
Like
this is
he's the
just a
neighbor they never hung out with before, but he came for the party.
yeah, it's just like such a weird cult film because usually a cult film just has something that really stands out, like all the Plan 9's got all the
Well, that's it. Usually,
tombstones and
when I hear a
stuff.
cult film, it's doing something genre. Like the
Yeah,
idea
this
that
is
this is like a one-man passion project, low budget thing, but it's not about like an alien invasion or a zombie. It's just about like a dude in a room.
He's the
Getting
alien.
it's a
cocked.
play. I mean,
Yeah.
the billboard for it had the line a film with the passion of Tennessee Williams. So it's like you kind of know what he's going for. Like, and don't get me wrong, I love Tennessee Williams. I love this kind of the thing he's trying to do. I love. So maybe that's part of what makes it more tolerable.
I
But
guess
like,
the thing is like to me it seems like if you just want to make a character drama in a room, like is it that hard to get one of those funded and made in 2003? Like does it have to be a
mm,
weird self-produced
Maybe this is around the time
madness
when
project? I don't
like
know.
John Waters is starting to
I
have
th-
trouble making movies and stuff.
I think that there's a special. I think there was something in the trivia about they tried to pitch it to a studio, and usually studios wait like 2 weeks before rejecting you, but they rejected him within 24 hours. Where it's like
Hmm.
I think because his script was so bad, because remember the script he was shopping around was not this script. This
Hmm.
was rewritten by people who are normal. So like I think that you have to get someone to put up money, and he was just like, and maybe it was easier for someone like him to get some funding after this, and I'm not really sure about that. But I don't know how many people are anything. He's a pretty unique character, right? Like
Hmm.
I mean, even
No,
Neil
but yeah, I think
Breen,
that's why
like
it's unique
sort of more of a
because
person.
he
I mean,
has he has this kind of passion, but for such a project like this, and he has such an incredible balance of confidence but no talent.
Yeah, he's a he's
depending
like
on
a
how
unique.
depending on how faithful the Disaster Artist movie was to the book, I mean, the reason he made the film was because they couldn't get auditions to act in things because I think they both wanted to be actors.
Mm.
So they just in the movie at least they're like, why don't we make our own movie? So then he writes this movie intending it for it to be a drama so they can show off how great they are, like James Dean, and write stuff like Tennessee Williams. This is all in the movie. I don't know if any of you read the book
Um,
or anything, but
I did.
that's what's depicted in the movie at
Uh,
least of the
you
Disaster
can
Artist. Is it's not that he was burning to direct a movie. I think he just wanted to make a film so they could both act in it.
Mm.
that
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 actually does kind of make more
um
sense.
I do not. My memory is a little cloudy, but I'm absolutely certain that the movie was a lot nicer to Tommy Wiseau than the book was, and I
I mean,
Yeah, I
think
mean
it
he
was.
like cameos in
I
it and
think it
stuff,
was.
right? So of course they're not going to be fully gloves off.
I think it was a lot more like Tommy Wiseau kind of dragging Greg Sestero around, and then the film kind of like put insane amount of strain on their friendship, which was
Well, you
not
can
like the
see
you know
that on
the
screen. He has the energy of friend who agreed to do something but is not really into it in every
yeah, and he
scene.
his anger towards the end of the film is like palpable. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, the
I assume this
what
was
was I gonna
just
say?
filmed
It's
chronologically. He wasn't smart enough to
Well, you can tell that the disaster artists, like, you have to do this with biopics. Like, you tell that they were like, the story here is these guys' friendship. We're going to make the friendship the center of the movie. And it
Mm.
worked in that way. But I don't, and I think they didn't really even speak to each other for a while after the film, even after the film got like kind of popular. Like, they kind of rekindled, because
I've
Greg
I've
was
I've
doing,
heard that much at least.
yeah, because Greg was doing intros to The Room, like, without Tommy for a few years before they kind of toured together. And even then, a couple of times in the Q&A that I saw, it was like Greg sort of stepped back a little bit when Tommy was bullshitting and would just sort of like shake his head and close his eyes. And you and everyone just knew what the deal was. And yeah, I think you're a saint for putting up with somebody like that for a long time, even if it does get you a lot of, I don't know, attention you might not have otherwise.
I mean, I had a lot of weird friends, right, at school, because I think we've talked about this before, Mark. I was just the person who was willing to be friends with all the weird kids. So I ended up being like one of their only friends. So even though I wasn't that close to them, it kind of felt like it. And there are times where you're like I'm your friend and I want to support you, but man, this is why no one likes you. What are you doing? So
Yeah.
I definitely can understand that feeling when you're in the room with them and you're making everything worse, man. Shut up. But you can't say that.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes people don't have sometimes part of why people don't have usually if people are nice, even if they're the weirdest fucker on earth, they probably have a decent amount of friends. It's like you kind of have to be kind of mean to really
Hmm.
not have friends in most cases. I wouldn't say every case. But yeah, I'm more like sort of weird but sort of normal, so I'm like the daywalker of weird people, so I can be
I've
friends
always
with
been
weird
a
people.
social chameleon.
What about a
Yeah.
guy who sleeps alone with romantic candles all around him, like Mark does?
I
That,
mean,
that-
oh no, that Mark. I thought you were talking about me. I was
Oh,
like,
not you.
how'd
No,
you
I'm talking.
know?
I'm talking about the one in this movie. I guess that is one thing. All the like, this is the first time fully watching the movie, and like, usually it takes a few views for like weird details like that to start sticking out. But there's just so many of them. Like 10 of them are gonna catch even on a first viewing.
Hmm.
Yeah. It
There's
was
that
like
one.
when
Oh, sorry.
when Lisa's seducing Mark the first time and he says like, what's with all these candles and all this music, and there's like no music and no
But
candles.
yeah, 'cause I turned to Mercy and I was like, wait, is the music we're hearing supposed to be diegetic? Is she just playing like songs of the movies, disc 47 or whatever?
The
That's really kind of you to suggest that they have more than one disc of music in this.
No,
Really
I'm not
one,
saying they
two
had more than one
tracks.
disc. I'm saying they just bought disc 47 and went
Oh
with
yeah, yeah, of the
it.
collection. Yep.
Johnny's room had this pane of glass that water would trickle down, and I don't know if like that was supposed to be a window where it was raining, or that's just a certain kind of decoration in your room where you can like turn it on and have
That
water.
was a decoration from around that time because I remember an episode of Friends where Chandler was looking out the window and it was raining and he was sad, and it cuts to Joey doing the same thing, but he's just got a stupid glass decoration thing. So
Oh,
maybe it was
okay.
one of those. He also has a framed picture of a spoon, famously.
Is that
Yeah,
why
there's
people
people
throw
throw
spoons
spoons. Yep.
in the
Yep.
theater? Because I
Yeah, it seems
I
like kind of a
missed that.
reach, doesn't it?
Yeah, I missed that completely in watching it again. I was like, why are there spoons? Like I get the football, but like where are there spoons? I must have missed that detail in the movie. The spoon, the
It's
picture of a spoon.
it's one of those things where I'm like, you guys really had to reach just hard as hell to
There had to
find
be some kind of meme, right? So
something.
I
Yeah, it's
think
like a
because
chicken jockey of some sort.
I've heard so many terrible stories watching The Room in theaters now that I probably just will never bother with it. The Neil Breen movies are starting to be like that too, where they get a little too vocal. And it's like this is a new movie. We don't know all the stupid stuff that's gonna happen yet, so take it easy.
Well,
I
I heard.
that's my opinion on all American movie going scenarios that I've ever seen because we don't talk in movies in the UK or in Japan. So
I,
you
I'm
guys all
fine
need
with
to
it on
shut up as
horror
far as I'm
movies.
concerned.
Yeah, I'm fine with like slasher movies that are just completely dumb. But yeah, I think that if the movie is funny for any reason, let me hear
You're
the
definitely
movie
supposed
so
to
I can hear
laugh,
what's
yeah.
funny.
But
Yeah.
don't talk over it, but I think you should be allowed to laugh during it.
I guess that's part of the thing here. This definitely comes like it has the skin of a movie where people would be quiet in the theater in America, but
Hmm.
then it's really funny. So that's a, so you're gonna
Yeah,
laugh at it. So I imagine maybe the
it's
first audiences are sitting there,
Yeah,
just like slowly breaking up.
yeah. Well, yeah, we
especially
were what
there.
our first audience. We were like, hmm? What?
I guess that's
Yeah.
the subtle charm that you just had to be there for, unfortunately, as you already
Well,
cited.
Yeah.
I think watching it at home by yourself, is pretty close. You don't
Well,
you don't
yeah, and
have to see it.
I would imagine. Obviously, I came to it all the funniest scenes I had seen, right? Whereas there
Mm,
must be a different charm, even like 2008 or something. Just hearing about this film vaguely on the internet and then getting a copy and watching it with your pals must have been such an experience when you didn't know quite as much of it going in. Like
So
I'd heard the criticism. Oh, this film tells you how Tommy Wiseau thinks about women, and
mm,
yeah, it's like
yeah.
I could imagine watching it the first time without having that thought in your head. Maybe it wouldn't be quite as in your face how misogynistic this film is. Women just exist to mess with men's hearts. They do things for no reason. Like, I assume he wrote this
Yeah.
shortly after, not even a breakup. I imagine him in like a real incel way, like being into a girl and her just not being into him, and that being the
Um,
crime she
that's why
committed.
it's listed as being semi-autobiographical.
yeah, there was something in the trivia, and I'm gonna see how fast I can find it, but it was basically uh,
While you're doing there, I'll just go with the tire joke, film or filth for this one. This is like where you're like, "Hey, mom, I want to go see Citizen Kane," and she's like, "We have Citizen Kane at home, right?"
haha, filth. It's filth.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's filth.
No, no, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna filth. It's too filmic to watch. It's something you would
I mean,
watch in
it's on
film
film.
school, right? It's on
Yeah.
film. You'd watch this in film school.
Look, this is film in the sense of this is why up until this podcast I didn't watch films. Like
Yeah, this seems like
like
something that would put you off from
we're
films.
almost halfway through Films and Filth now. And I'm 100% decided that once we're finished with this project, I'm not watching fucking Oscar movies and famous movies ever again. I'm just watching Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Statham. That's it. Citizen Kane, fine, it was all right. I'm bored of that shit now. I'm moving on. I'm watching action movies. That's it.
It's
Almost
funny
like I don't
because
even know
I'm
if I want to
like,
finish this. You know what? I'm going to replace it with a new podcast where it's like this week Schwarzenegger, next week Stallone, week after that Statham, week after that Van Damme. Ooh, comedy week Seagal. I don't
I mean,
fucking.
we
What have we
could do
got?
that.
What shit have
We
we
could do
got
that
coming
for a
up?
month.
No, no, no. I'm doing that for the rest of my life, Mark.
See, the funny thing, like the direction I'm going in is like I read about all these like all the Polish movies that were actually good that came out in like the early '80s. I'm not even bringing that up because this guy's Polish, but it's like that all those that weird sci-fi where I read about foreign films that are vaguely related to stuff we watch, and like I want to watch all that. I want to
I'm
watch all
looking at
the
the list.
more
Like
obscure.
Cinema Paradiso sounds boring. Casablanca sounds boring. The Pianist. I don't want to see a piano. I want to see Tommy guns. Fucking okay,
I
Leon.
mean,
There's some pretty sick ones in there.
well, okay, I found this
Life
according to
is
Greg
beautiful.
Sestero.
I want to see Death is beautiful. You know what I mean?
I think doesn't it have death in it?
I'm pretty
Anyway,
sure it does. I'm
according
pretty
Lots
sure
of
that's
death
like
in
a
it.
really tragic film.
It's like
yeah,
he becomes a clown and then everyone dies. It's kind of like the day the clown cried,
yeah.
which
Yeah,
Oh
well,
yeah,
at least
I
event,
gotta see
when
that.
we get a copy of
When's
that, that
that?
is a Films and Filth emergency that we record.
Yeah. According to Greg Sestero, the character of Lisa is based on a woman to whom Tommy Wiseau once proposed with a $1,500 diamond engagement ring. I don't think that's even that expensive for an engagement ring, but who, quote, betrayed
The
him
engagement
several
ring
times.
industry is like bullshit.
Yeah. It is bullshit. I'm sure that I'm just saying like that. I don't think that's considered for a guy who spent $6 million on this. I don't think that's very high of a. Anyway,
that's
I
how
mean,
he
was
had
that
the
six
money.
million dollars of his money?
It seems
yeah, I think it
yes,
was. I
Wow.
think it
nobody
was.
knows how he
Yeah.
got that money. So there is
Oh
some.
yeah. My favorite fan theory is that he is DB Cooper.
That's a
Ooh.
great theory. I love that. But I think it was basically that he bought and sold a bunch of real estate, and also like the prevailing theory is that it's like fashion, like clothes. Like he sold a lot of clothes from import
He
clothes.
sold beans, I think.
Yeah, like when I
I'm
saw him the first time I saw him do a Q&A, he was wearing 6 belts.
Is he a Final Fantasy character?
Kind of
Is he a
is, right?
Nomura
Like
character?
if he
weird
was at
vampire.
the end of Final Fantasy, you would totally buy it, right?
Hmm.
I mean, he would have to be a little prettier, but still.
The a lot of the scenes did remind me of Japanese video games with American voice acting in the way that they were
Yeah.
clearly being directed by someone who this wasn't quite their first language.
Or the
So,
cinematographer.
so I do want to ask this, since he's like nude so much and muscular
Mm,
and has a weird accent, do you guys think that he would make a good Terminator if they had to like put him in a Terminator movie?
right. I need to stop you right there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just wake up and be a Terminator. It takes skill. Arnold Schwarzenegger is good at playing a robot because he's a trained bodybuilder, and he trained the other actors who played Terminators. Not just anyone could do it. Similarly, Peter Weller is
Okay,
good
well,
as RoboCop because he's a trained dancer and knows what he's doing. But to answer your question, yes, Tommy Wiseau, I think, actually is a Terminator.
yeah, he could be like the Terminator that like was made by Amazon or something. You know,
Uh,
like he's like the shitty like the knockoff Terminator. That see
He
why can't
terminates your
I
toilet breaks.
I just came up with a plot that's better than the plots of the last 4 Terminator movies. Like, why can't they just do something? Why can't they fix this franchise?
they're
Just
they're
do
gonna
something.
reboot next. They're gonna reboot next. That could be
I
worse.
know.
That could be worse.
I mean,
Um,
I don't know. Could it? I don't know. I don't know.
no.
I
Um,
don't care.
Brian, we never bopped you the film or Phil's question, by the way. If you wanna have a say on that.
I think it's a film. I mean, it still draws an audience. Um, yes, it was shot on film. Um, so yeah, I think it's I mean, it's not a great film, but it is a film, and it's very possible that it might wind up in the National Film Registry at the Library of Congress. I mean, it's had that much of a cultural impact that I think it could be a contender, which would be interesting if something like that and Plan 9 from Outer Space would make it into the National Film Registry. But that would mean that,
Hmm.
in case the Terminators do come and the apocalypse happens, that the room would be safe. I don't know if that's what Mark wants.
No, I
Um,
mean, I think it should be in there because it's got it's not gonna there's not gonna be anything else like this on this list, and I don't know if there really is anything else like this. So it's like there, if you want to talk
Mm,
about films that are worthy of doing podcasts about, like this is probably
This
pretty
one, I
high.
mean, Dangerous Men. I don't know if that's going to be on your guys' list, but that is one of these types of films that is made by a guy driven to make a movie, and it took him 25 years, and the end result is so like what the fuck did I just watch? Like scenes just end and characters are just dropped. Like it has this weird dream logic to it. And Surfer Teen Confronts Fear, things like
Which
that.
no
These are
one can
like movies that
watch.
are absolutely worth watching. Oh, The Astrologer,
Oh.
the one
Actually, Matt and I did do a podcast on the astrologer, and it's on a different podcast feed for a show called Oral Hygiene, which is AURAL, which makes it hard to plug, but that's it. That's where it is.
um,
uh,
Um, I don't
so
think Matt liked it as much as I did, but I, I was like, I've
fun
shown it
time.
to a few people.
the room
Um,
and the are very similar because it's made by
I
these
think I
like
listened to that. I don't remember if I watched the film though.
It's worthwhile. I think it's a way better film than this because it's got like action in it,
Hmm.
and it looks a
I'm
lot
sold.
better.
it's a
It
globe
looks way better than this.
yeah.
I mean, and it has it has violence in it.
and the Moody
It
Blues.
has there's
Sound
one
like
of the
Steven Seagal would be into
funniest
it if it's got violence and the blues.
things in it is that a guy walks up to another guy with a gun and the guy says, "Don't kill me," and then he shoots him. I think that's funny when someone says, "Don't kill me." It's
Then
like that's the best you got.
gets killed.
Don't
Got a
kill me.
It's got a whole argument scene done in slow motion. I mean, that's cinema right there.
Yeah, but to pull back the not to pull back the curtain too far, but basically we our bad list is based on how many votes things get on IMDb, and since the room is super people are super opinionated about it,
Yeah, I'm sure there's a
obviously.
thousand films just like The Room, but no one's watched them, so they're not going to end up
Yeah.
on our
From
radar.
like Big Shark, which is Tommy Wiseau's second film, which came out a couple of years ago, and I know none of us have seen this because I've talked about it, but it played here once last year, and I just had too much going on and couldn't make it to the screening, thinking that I would be able to see it later, and it just hasn't. It's still touring. It's like Surfer, like you can't just watch it online.
Hmm.
But apparently, people are already yelling things over it. But it has 420 ratings, so that's not gonna be on any lists, and it's also at a 5.4. So
Mm.
maybe it's sort of less bad. I've some
They-
of the buzz I've seen says it's at least funny enough to watch. So it can't
one
be
I
this.
one I actually
Just to clarify,
uh,
is it actually about a big shark?
Yes.
Oh, sick. Okay. I thought it was about like loans
Um,
or something.
no, yeah, no. It's I think Tommy Wiseau wants to make something you want to watch, Luke. Like in all honesty, he
Hmm.
wants to. He's always wanted to make like an action movie.
Okay.
So there you go. Maybe
Man after my own
I
heart.
I
Hates
wish
women,
we
loves
could.
action.
I wish we could pull this in somehow, but it's just not really watchable for any of us. Much like Surfer Teen Confronts Fear,
But we'll
which
we'll put it on the
Ricky
list
mentioned.
with The Day the Clown Cried. As soon as it's available, it gets bumped to episode.
Cool, yeah. I think it'll be worth it. But yeah, the and I don't know if you guys are aware of the remake of this, which stars Bob Odenkirk and was finished 2 years ago and has not been released, and I have no idea why.
Hmm.
I watched. There were like 3 minutes of it that leaked. It was like the rooftop scene, and they're basically playing it like they took the script from the film and are playing it as a slow, intense play, where Bob Odenkirk's like, I did not hit her." You're just like, "Oh, hi, Mark. I don't like." They're all like
That does
talking like
sound
that. So
okay. That sounds pretty
it could
interesting.
be. That's not. It's not what I would have expected, which makes me want to watch it.
Yeah.
And and Mike Flanagan, who directed a bunch of horror movies, is also in it. He stars in it. He's not directing it.
So
I don't.
I do have a 10-star review here.
Did you
And
find like a good one that's not just internet jokes?
I really, yes, I tried to do that. I was zoned out for a while looking for one, and then you guys were talking about spoons, and I was lost. So, but I got one here. So I think this one is. Let's see. Sometimes in the middle, I'm like, oh crap, but best so bad it's good movie out there. Is it's a good film in the usual sense? No, absolutely not. If one looks at the film in an objective and serious manner, it can be considered a complete and utter train wreck of a film. However, like the train wreck in the old saying, it becomes impossible to look away from. The Room differs from most bad movies in that the negative aspects which plague most bad films, like bad acting, writing, poor sound mixing, poor editing, are amplified to such an extreme that, in combination with absolutely no sense of self-awareness and the bizarre, almost mythical alien presence of the film's mastermind, director, producer, writer, and main actor Tommy Wiseau, The Room manages to be so hilariously bad that it transcends into becoming one of the funniest films ever made. Whereas films like Sharknado and Birdemic set out to deliberately emulate the features which have created many so bad it's good movies, like The Room as well as others like Plan 9 or Manos The Hands of Fate, they ultimately fail in their endeavors and come across as just plain bad, boring, and too forced. The key reason for films like The Room being so funny and memorable whilst other imitators fail concerns the organic, natural, and genuine creative processes of many of these so bad it's good films, primarily in how said filmmakers genuinely tried to make engaging and brilliant films, yet failed so catastrophically. Something the disaster artist expands upon in great detail. Overall, The Room is a hilarious, absurd, memorable, bizarre, and highly quotable movie which only gets better with repeat viewings and, like a Kubrick classic, will likely be studied and analyzed for decades to come by film students, movie critics, and filmmakers, although likely not for the same reasons. Okay, sorry, that one's a little long, but I felt like that was at least like authentic.
That does kind of sum it up
Yeah.
because I think this film is bad in such specific ways that it stays watchable. Like you said, Mark, a lot of films that are this quality get really boring towards the end, whereas somehow this film, it, bad as it was very watchable start to finish.
Yeah, even like Troll 2, I found pretty excruciating compared to this. There's a lot of bad stuff that's even genre stuff. I'm like,
Well, that's often those genre films. It's
unpleasant.
like the two or three good scenes are great, but that means that there's like so much filler, and their passion wasn't in the filler. Their passion was in like the monster scenes. Whereas here, for
Yeah.
whatever reason, their passion was in acting these weird little scenes.
Everything except the sex scenes.
Yeah. But
No
was that
passion.
because like they were so desperate not to be disrespectful in those scenes that they were just like, I bet if you had the
I
real
think
audio from the room, it's just like, is this okay? Is this okay? Are you okay? Is this okay?
except Tommy Wiseau was like, "Oh yeah, you like this, don't you?" That was kind of a
That was
Schwarzenegger.
very much
Okay, it's hard to do
Schwarzenegger.
his. It's hard to do his accent.
No, yeah, there's a reason
What are
people
you
love it. 'Cause
doing? Am I doing good? Am I in belly button?
I guess we should start wrapping up. Brian, you got anything else you want to throw out on The Room?
No. If I had a spoon, I'd throw it, but I got nothing.
one
Yeah,
one
and
last criticism. Should have been called The Apartment because it goes through several rooms.
Hmm.
you're right.
There is a movie
That-
called The Apartment.
that's-
That one did win an Oscar, and you don't want to watch
Yeah, I've
it.
heard that's actually a really rough watch compared to The Room.
All right, well,
I've
I'm off to the
Brian,
gym.
do you have any-
Peace.
Word up.
later. Brian, do you have any plugs? Because I have plugs this time too.
Yeah, on August 2nd, I'm teaching a workshop about how to come up with the short film, how to produce it, and how to promote it. And that's going through the Atlanta Film Society. So you can go to the Atlanta Film Society's website and look up upcoming events and stuff, and you'll see my goofy face promoting my workshop.
Are you able to do that workshop online?
That is an in-person workshop. It'll be held at
Okay,
the
so if
Plaza.
you're in Atlanta, then
Oh yes, I'm sorry. If you're in Atlanta, please come to my workshop. I'm very eager to teach and show people how to make films. Much better
hell
films
yeah.
than
Yes, Brian is a better director than. I feel like that's almost. I don't know. Can I?
that could be
Better
a
Is that
director,
mean?
Tommy Wiseau.
You're a better director than Tommy Wiseau. Also, if you're in Atlanta, this is coming up much sooner. If you're at the Fringe Festival, myself and several members of Blast Off Burlesque are participating in 5/5 of the Fifth Element, where we'll be acting out the fifth of. That's the last fifth of the Fifth Element, with live burlesque, comedy, etc., music, dancing, the whole thing, the big giant show, June 2nd at 7 stages, 7 p.m. The 5/5 of the Fifth Element, and also, you know what else is that the Plaza Theater is showing The Room on 35 millimeter on Saturday, June 28th at 8:30 p.m. I don't know if I'll be there, but you should go if you haven't seen it because you can see it on
Greg
35
Sestero.
millimeter.
Greg Sestero will be there too.
Oh yeah, Greg Sestero is right there. Yep. And if they decide to show Big Shark as well, you will actually literally see me there because I need to see that.
Well, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Oh, bye, Mark.
Stop ganging up on me.
Hi, Dougie.
One person gang up.
You're my best customer.
Okay. Thank you for
Cool.
popping in. The Room. It's done.
Yeah.
The room
Thanks,
is
Brian.
filled.
That was awesome.
Sure. Yeah. Let me know if there's
And
any
if you
other.
wanted,
uh,
oh yeah, I was saying if you want to do we're about to go to the animated episodes of Planet of the Apes pretty soon. If you want to do one of those, if you have any interest?
I have no. That's okay.
No. Yeah, we've had a
So yeah,
couple of
you guys been
Chuck
watching it?
turned
Or,
down the yeah. I
uh,
don't think everybody's
It's a niche.
yeah,
well.
yeah.
We don't know how good that is yet, but
So you haven't
yeah, we
started
got more
those?
stuff coming up. No, we're just about to record the last episode of the live
Live
action
action.
series, which involves like a man who has a hang glider, but all
How?
humans in this TV series are kind of stupid. So it's kind of like, no, I must make the hang glider. I must fly. And he keeps accusing everyone of trying to take it. Have you watched this yet, Matt?
Nope.
Oh, well, I won't spoil any more than that.
Okay.
But
I wonder when we get to Psycho if we should watch the wrong one.
no,
That's a bit.
no, I'd rather watch one of the sequels.
Yeah.
Psycho 2 is
I guess
pretty
we
good.
could.
I was
Maybe
Psycho 3.
thematically. I love the original Psycho, and
Oh,
I
I do
think
too.
Luke is gonna love it.
Yeah.
Like
Psycho,
that's something I'll relish making Luke watch.
actually, it's funny. Psycho and Planet of the Apes were the first, like, quote, old movies I watched when I was younger. Like, I think it was 1998, and I watched Psycho, and then, like, a few months later, I watched Planet of the Apes. I was like, oh, wow, old movies can be good. That's cool. Because every kid has that stigma, like,
Yeah,
old
of
movies
course.
are boring or whatever. But, like, I picked two good ones to start with. So it's funny that it turned out to be those two. But yeah, I love Psycho. If you guys do Psycho or talk about Psycho films, I would love to.
Well, you can just stick your name on it now if you want.
Yeah, do we have we don't have somebody for Psycho? That's surprising. We don't have like
Not on the
Dorian or
master list.
Oh,
yeah.
I would
Get
do Psycho.
get
I
get
love
yourself
Psycho.
in here for Psycho. That'd be awesome.
That would
That's
be
gonna be in like probably like late fall before you get to it, but we're gonna get there.
fine. That's fine. But yeah, that'll allow me to like get time to watch all the Psycho movies, including Psycho 4. And I always wanted to
Oh
see Psycho.
man.
Oh,
I think I wasn't didn't four have some kind of like hook to it that was insane. I can't remember. Maybe I'm thinking of Jaws
Yeah, he's
4.
like calling into a radio show or something. He's calling into a radio show because he might kill again. I don't know.
Yeah.
maybe I was
Yeah,
But
talking
I
to
can
you, Mark, but I'm putting into the chat this movie poster. This just because it's Oz Perkins, which is Anthony's son, and now makes his
yes.
own movies. But this is when he
oh
was trying to be an actor.
yes,
It's just
yes, I know which one.
one of the most
Gary,
nightmarish posters ever.
Gary Busey. Yeah, Gary Busey's a dog. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh
I would love.
yes. I've seen this.
And then
I've
Oh
seen
wait,
this in a list.
the Shaggy Dog poster as another horrific dog movie. Have you seen the Shaggy Dog poster?
Uh,
yeah, I've
yes,
seen
I
that
Okay,
have.
one. The
that
one
one's
with Tim Allen, right?
it's where it's a
Tim
dog, but
Allen.
it's got Tim Allen's eyes.
Allen, yeah, 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 yeah.
It's like Betty Davis eyes, but it's Tim Allen eyes.
Um, wait, have you guys seen or heard of Tiptoes?
I've heard of it.
It's the one where Gary Oldman plays a dwarf.
2002
2003.
film.
And Matthew McConaughey's in it. Kate Beckinsale is in it. Peter Dinklage, and it's made
What?
by the guy who did Freeway. Right?
Okay.
Is
Oh
that
God.
Freeway's the one?
Freeway is one of
Oh,
those things where I didn't really like it, even though feel like I should have.
that's the one with Kiefer
Maybe I need to rewatch it.
Sutherland, right? That's Kiefer Sutherland in
The
that
No,
one.
I was thinking
film's
of Reese Witherspoon.
an average
Reese
side
Witherspoon.
man who struggles with revealing to his pregnant fiance that his entire family are dwarves.
That sounds.
So the
Oh
baby
boy.
could be a dwarf.
And I think what's his name from Twin Peaks is in it too. The Michael Anderson, that guy.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, yeah. I was
Oh
about to
yeah,
say when
there's
you're like that guy from Twin Peaks, I'm like,
the
that's
guy
like
from Twin
50
Peaks.
Michael
people.
The
J. Anderson.
dwarf.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the dwarf.
That's, that's what I was
Oh,
gonna say.
he wrote The Forbidden Zone.
Yes, yeah. This guy's got a
Okay.
very strong career.
Yeah,
I
I
was
actually only saw that like a year ago.
yeah. I think
Or-
you can watch Tiptoes on Freevee. I love Freevee. They have the most
Yeah,
amazing.
Freevie's great. I heard
Yeah,
that Amazon was going to shut it down, but as far as I know, they haven't.
okay,
Which
good.
is
Good. There was another movie
Yeah.
I was going to bring up during the chat, but there's this really crazy one, and I think I watched it as a screener for Buried Alive, Mark. It was called Confessions of a Teenage
Teenage
Satanist.
Satanist. Yeah,
It
from
is,
Philippines, right?
God,
I have
no,
that
no, no,
somewhere.
maybe the guy was Filipino, but it's American, and it's basically a
Okay.
remake of Exorcist. But it's as if like the movie was made by a person that you have to like ask whether it's a bot. You have to like press click on like these are the traffic lights. Like that's what the movie feels like. It was made by a bot.
Well, we're gonna
Uh,
What
see
was
more and more
that?
of those soon.
Do you, Brian, do you remember what was that short that I think you guys had that was like the weird Christmas movie that was like from some other country? Do you remember what
oh,
it was? It was like Santa was like yelling at children or something, but it was all like Slavic or
I,
something.
I wish I can remember, but it was
God.
definitely one that the Buried Alive was submitted to Buried Alive, and it won all these awards at like made up festivals and stuff. They're not made up,
That
they're
was
real festivals.
insane.
I know, yeah. Well, the
I see. I
teenage won awards too, and I was like, how did this win awards? You know?
I mean, I wish I still had that like 9/11 horror movie that like got sent to us. That was the second year that we did the festival where it was like, um, it I don't know how like earnest it was, but there was definitely you could have taken it as a complete joke, but it was like they sent this huge like packet, like whatever media packet of stuff that was like Xeroxed and stapled together
Skinny
of like the
PK.
bios of everyone in it, and
Oh yeah,
part of
that's
it
Ken.
was at some point someone made like a hang glider out of an American flag and like hang glided from one tower to another while the first tower blew up. And there
Wow.
was another one where a lady who was pregnant the whole time and it was like she was running and you saw like the whatever basketball flopping around when she was running. The baby came out looking like Middle Eastern and her boyfriend was like, "What is this?" And she was like, "Oh, it was just some guy I met in my flight school."
Oh
Like it
my
was
God.
implying that and then he strangles her to death on the table where she gave birth,
Oh.
which is
Holy
like unbelievable. It was unfucking believable. But
Uh,
I
wow.
don't think it exists.
hey Mark, I gotta bop in because I do need to run for the train
Yeah.
now. So I will be ending this
I
meeting. Well,
I kind
a
of got to go
psycho in the
too.
cooker. We'll catch you
We'll
guys
see it.
later. Have a groovy one. Bye
All right.
bye.
Take care. Brian.